What's up, everybody? How you doing? How was your off week? He's Craig. I'm Logan. It's No One Asked Us. We're recording this on Monday, October 24th. Where I'm looking at, it's a very gloomy Monday after a rather nice weekend in South Bend. I don't know how the weather was where you are in Louisville, Craig, but it was a nice weekend here. Were you good? Your weather good?
Yeah, windows open, sliding door open off the back end. Watch some football. It was fantastic.
That's wonderful. Well, yes, this is No One Asked Us. As I said, he is Craig. I am Logan. This is episode, I don't know, are these numbers even right anymore? 76.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm glad that something here gets updated. We're in season 2, episode 14, episode 76 overall. He's Craig. I'm Logan. At No One Asked Us Pod on Twitter. At Craig W. Choate. I'm at the Logan Lee. We're at on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Had No One Asked Us. Shoot us an email if you want to talk about anything in particular. Like, share, subscribe. Our numbers were climbing.
Like and subscribe.
And then YouTube decided to, I think, probably audit us or something, and some of our numbers went down. So, not thrilled about that, but I guess that's the business of YouTube. But yes, like, share, subscribe. We really appreciate that. Like and subscribe everywhere as much as you can.
We've gained like 40 subscribers in 2 weeks. So
yeah, that's pretty.
Keep bumping them up.
Love the subscribers. Illinois football is playing well. They had a bye this week. We'll talk about that. Obviously driving a lot of these conversations and a lot of our views and everything, but we appreciate everybody that's tuning in for whatever reason you're tuning in for. We enjoy having you here. As always, chapters are in the description in case there's something in particular that you're coming here for. You can skip ahead to that. With that being said, Craig, anything you want to update us on your weekend or your life in general, or before we get started? Anything good?
I didn't do anything after Friday night. Saw one of the best concerts of my life Friday night.
You did go to a concert Friday night. Let's hear about it. Let's hear about
Luke Combs, man. He has been the top of my list for concerts for like 5 years, probably. Basically ever since he came around. He's been the top of my list. So went to see him. He was with Jordan Davis, who didn't realize till like a week prior how many hits he has.
Yep.
Jordan Davis he has 6 or 7 songs that I knew. And then the night of, I forgot that he was opening. I was like, oh, I know this guy. And then Lainey Wilson also opened for both of them. So there were 2 openers and then Luke. And she was fantastic. Like, I didn't know many. I knew one of her songs, I think, maybe 2. But she was just a great performer, great country vocal singer. Like, it was 3 people who, obviously Luke was headlining that night, but it's 3 people who will headline their own tour in the next 5 years. They were all fantastic. Did I tell you the story about that, getting those tickets?
No, I didn't know anything about this. We hadn't talked about it until I saw your post the other night.
May or June. Tickets went on sale, and I signed up for the Luke Combs Club or whatever so I could get pre-sale because he was like top of my list. And it wouldn't let me in. Like at 10 a.m. or whenever they went on sale, it said that I needed to be a member of his club. And I was like, I signed up a week ago. I have the email right here. Like, I was frantically messaging Ticketmaster on Twitter and all this stuff. And like, I was ready to go 5 minutes prior to them going on sale. And then by the time I got in, the best tickets I could get were 6 rows from the top. So we were way up in the nosebleeds. I was willing to spend a lot more money to be lower, but we were in the building. It was an awesome concert, best concert I've been to in a long time. But yeah, it was getting the tickets was a struggle, but it was all worth it. I would have sat in the very top row because it was such a good show.
I almost hate to admit this to you now, but I might have been able to get you better seats.
How? What connection do you have?
I have no idea. I have a friend who has been posting for the last, I've seen them post a couple times that he's had tickets to sell. I have no idea where the seats were. They may not have been. I have no idea. I don't have any sort of connections. I just know that he has had those out there, and I honestly didn't even think to like text you. Well, so whatever.
Honestly,
you were there. It doesn't matter.
He has said it before, and like normally guys like that, like he's one of the top 5 country artists in the world right now.
Yeah.
So you would think that tickets for his shows would be astronomical. It was like $45 a ticket, what I ended up with. And after I bought him, like the next day, it was very weird. The next day I was scrolling through TikTok and he came up and he's like, dude, like I'm doing fine. Like I make enough money doing what I do. I want the Joe and I want Jack and Jill that work their butts off to be able to afford to come to my shows. I'm not gonna make tickets like astronomical. So going in, I was only
Love
gonna get
that.
right, fantastic. I was only gonna get like the lower seats for just me and Christy, but then when I saw how cheap the tickets were where I ended up getting them, I went ahead and I got 4, and it ended up I went with her cousin's son who goes to school down here now. Or him and his buddy from Chicago are freshmen. They took the other tickets off of our hands, so it was us 4. But it was a great show. Great show.
That's awesome.
One of the like. Sometimes there are people that you're like, all right, I've seen him. I don't need to see him again. But anytime Luke Combs is coming around, like I'm gonna go because it was fantastic.
I would like to see Luke. I'm not a super avid concert goer. I've been to a fair share of them, but he would be towards the top of my list. So who is at the top of your list now of concerts?
I don't know.
Want to go to?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe Kane Brown. I haven't seen Kane Brown. I mean, I've seen Justin Timberlake. I've seen Garth. I've seen Blake Shelton. I mean, we've seen some pretty big names already. I'd have to think about that. I don't know who's at the top. Zach Brown Band has always been right there.
Zach Brown is at the top of my list, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's probably him because it was them before Luke Combs came around.
And they come around. I mean, they tour every single year. Yeah. Like they're in Indianapolis every single year, and I've just never gone, and like that's just on me. But he'd be at the top of my list.
Blake Shelton's coming back here in May, so we're probably going to go see him. But I've seen him before, so that's not going to check a box or anything. But he's right there with Luke as part of my favorites. So
that's good.
Look at this little music talk to start the show. I love it.
I saw Jordan Davis. He came to South Bend at our ballpark one year with. Oh, I don't remember who he came with. We had few country concerts 2 years in a row, and he was one of them. He was good. He put on a good show. I do not remember who headlined that show, but Joe Nichols maybe Joe Nichols. But yeah, he was good then, and I'm sure he was great now. So that's awesome. Yeah. Really happy for you. I did not do anything nearly that exciting this weekend, so I did see a couple movies that we can talk about later. But that was about it. Get some work done around the house and. Nothing too exciting. I would have loved to have gone to Luke Combs' concert. So maybe next time you'll invite me. All right.
Sorry you didn't get the memo.
Whatever. We're not even friends. All right. What caught your eye this week?
It's true. We talk once a week for 2 hours. That's like the only communication we've got. I actually have a lot that caught my eye. But I'm going to narrow it down to 2. Last week after we recorded, someone pretty famous tweeted that they spent the day with Ayo Dosunmu, and I was like, that's freaking sweet.
Yep.
Barack Obama and Ayo just chumming it up at an event in Chicago. Like, I know we shouldn't anymore because of how great of a year Ayo's had, but it's still just like, I think it's because Illinois fans haven't had that person in so long that anytime Ayo does something cool, we're just like, oh my God, that's awesome. But yeah, Barack Obama, his foundation, I think, had an event that Ayo was one of the people on stage, and Barack showed up. So that was just really freaking sweet, I thought. But then another thing, and I don't want to, this is my main one. One of the few cool things that I will admit about Kentucky basketball today on Twitter. Did you see this?
Yes, I know what you're going to talk about. Go ahead.
So a couple hours ago, John Calipari tweeted a picture from, I'm assuming it was a scrimmage or some sort of practice for UK basketball. And it's a little boy, probably, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old. And sitting next to him is this dude just covered in dirt and in a work uniform that you could tell he's like a coal miner. And Calipari just tweeted, my family's American dream started in a Clarksburg, West Virginia coal mine. So this picture hits home. From what I've been told, after his shift, he raced to be with his son and watch our team. Don't know who this is, but I have tickets for him and his family at Rupp to be treated as VIPs. They've tracked him down. Enough people tagged, I believe, his wife or whoever in the tweet, and they've tracked him down, and they're going to get to spend the day with UK basketball, and that's just really cool. Like, if you go to Calipari's Twitter, it's hard to miss. You'll know what I'm talking about. Just dude covered in soot and in like the reflective uniform, sitting, looked to be pretty close to the court to be with his son so he could go to the UK scrimmage or whatever. And it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, I did see that today. That was, we can say what we want about him, but I think Cal's a pretty good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know.
I think he gets it.
I don't know. The recruiting hasn't always probably been the cleanest, but I think that's a thing across the industry. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. You kind of stole my IO thing, which was what I was going to mention. But there was a second IO thing that wasn't quite at the same level, but similar. Not similar necessarily, but there's a podcast out of Chicago. I don't know if you've seen much of the CHGO podcast. It's a podcast company essentially that started up covering Chicago sports over the course of the last few years, and they have different pods for the Blackhawks, the Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Bears, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Their Bulls account tweeted out something earlier this week, and it was just the host sitting on a couch. They were talking about what they're going to do this season as a podcast, like a plan for the year or whatever. And then one of them says, "I have an idea," and then you can see Io DeSumo walking behind him, very reminiscent of the Deadpool trailer or the Deadpool announcement with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Yeah. Io walks behind him, and the guy says, "Hey, Io, you want to do a podcast?" And he says, "Yeah, sure." And like, it was just kind of funny.
Who is this?
It's the CHGO is the company, and the name of the CHGO Sports is the brand, but they have a Bulls specific podcast. Somebody else pointed it out to me. I hadn't seen it until somebody told me about it, but it's pretty funny. So
awesome.
Yeah, so that was just kind of cool. But yes, the Barack thing was the one thing I was going to mention, but I thought that was pretty cool too. So, all right. What do you think this week? Last week we asked the question, who finishes their season ranked higher? Illinois basketball or Illinois football? That was the question we asked. 74% of the vote said Illinois basketball, meaning that 26% said Illinois football. Do you think that's right? Where was your vote there? Football. I don't remember if we talked about this. Your vote would be football.
Yep.
Do you think Illinois football will finish this season ranked higher than Illinois basketball will?
I do.
Okay. Do you want to give your reasoning?
I think football finishes the regular season probably 10-2. That would put them in the top 15 heading into, they could go 10-4, yeah, but I think they finished in top 20. I don't know that I can say the same about basketball. I'm just not sure what the basketball team's going to bring. So
that's fair.
I think the basketball team they could finish anywhere from 15 to 25. But I think right now, it's the safer bet to say football. I think Illinois football goes 10-2. They go to the Big Ten championship, get obliterated by Ohio State or Michigan. Well, yeah, Ohio State or Michigan. And then potentially win their bowl game, depending on where they go, and finish 11-3 or 10-4. And that would be a top 20, top 15 ranking, I think, with those losses. So
let me ask you this. Now, obviously, there's a handicap here because we know where we are with the Illinois football season, and basketball season hasn't even started yet. And we're already seeing some bad news out of Illinois basketball that we'll talk about later. Who has the higher ceiling?
Oh, basketball.
For the year?
I think basketball could be a top 5 team.
At the end of the year? You think like that would be like
top 10 or top 5? Yeah.
Elite 8 or Final 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the potential is there. We just don't know yet.
Right. I understand.
And
I understand. I think I don't remember what I voted for. I think I probably voted for basketball, but I think your reasoning is correct. I think it makes sense. So I'm a little surprised by the 75%
Me
one
too.
way, but I can't be totally shocked that what won, but I'm a little surprised by the margin. This week we'll ask it pretty simple. World Series starts on Friday. Astros, Phillies. Simply put, who you got? Astros or Phillies? Who wins the World Series? The championship series they were kind of fun, but they also were kind of quick. One series went 4 games, one series went 5 games. Lots of action, some surprises here and there. But we'll kind of see. I've been watching a good amount of playoff baseball, not as much as I probably would like, but have you watched any playoff baseball since the Cardinals?
I've not watched a whole lot. I did watch. I need more TVs. That's the thing, because I do a lot of flipping, and I just miss everything. Like, I just missed Harper's home run. I saw it on Twitter, so I tried to go back and watch, and that didn't work. To catch a replay, whatever. But I just need more TVs because there's too much going on. That was going to be one of my, before I dissected moment of the week or whatever we're calling this, what caught my eye. My thing was this time of year. It's like the moment of the year because we have everything happening all at once. All 4 pro sports are in season right now. College football is in full steam. College basketball, men's and women's, picking up. We got an exhibition game in 3 days. Premier League is year round, so it's going on. World Cup right around the everything is happening right now, and it is the best.
I agree with you. It is wonderful time of the year. I know I said on Twitter a while back that I hate the month of October, which part of me does. But from a sports perspective, it's hard to top the month of October. I will give it that. All right, let's move on to Illinois football. The Illini were off this week. It's one of their bye weeks. So not much news to report from a player standpoint on the field, at least. As far as we know, nothing injury.
I believe Josh McCray is back. I'm pretty sure Bielema said straight up today he is back.
Yeah, so that's going to be helpful. That's something we talked about last week. I know that I kind of stressed on how much work has been put on the shoulders of Chase Brown, being, despite him leading the country in rushing yards, he also is leading the country in carries by 1 billion. So at least
it's not as close as I thought it was. It's only like 15 now.
Did you look before or after the week? Because every one of those teams played.
Yeah, that's
more than he had. Whatever. Either way, he at one point had a large margin ahead in terms of carries. So either way, it'll be nice to get Josh McCray back. Who knows what kind of an impact he'll have. But just to take some of the carries away from Chase Brown will be nice because he needs some help. There was some recruiting news at least this week. A few things of note that a few players that did commit to Illinois. A prep defensive back, Saboor Karriem, Dez'Mond Schuster, a junior college commit, an offensive lineman, and then Alex Bray, who's a high school defensive lineman. All 3 commits to Bielema and the Illini. So obviously it was going to be a big week with a bye week in the middle of the season. That's always a big recruiting week. Yep. Bielema said he was out recruiting most of the week anyway, and so to get some big commits, that's nice. Kind of shore up what's ahead. The other thing of note here, one of the top recruits in the country, really, Malik Elzy, decommitted from Cincinnati, who is a Chicago native, Simeon High School, class of 2023, was committed to Cincinnati and is no longer. So you have to think that Illinois is back very much in the mix here. He was
Illinois was Illinois and Cincinnati.
Yeah, right. Illinois was one of the top final 2 or 3 for him earlier. So you have to think that Illinois is back in play here. And after the success they've had, it's, that's a good sign. That's a good sign for things that are happening here in Champaign when you get something like that. So he is not committed to Illinois at this point, but he has decommitted from Cincinnati. So the Illini very much have to assume are back in play for him. From a recruiting standpoint, anything else you want to chime in on any of those guys? in all your recruiting research you've done?
Yeah, not a recruiting guy.
Are you going to be a recruiting analyst?
No, I could never do that. I always told Piper and Warner and all those guys, I was like, I don't know how you do the recruiting stuff. Like, there's no way. So if you want your recruiting, go to Illini Inquirer. They absolutely dominate all that stuff. But isn't it crazy? But what winning some games can do?
Yeah, it really
Imagine that.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Bonkers. Yeah, you win some football games, and all of a sudden, people are interested in coming to your school.
Yeah, imagine that. Top 20.
It's a different world,
right?
It's a different world we live in right now with Illinois football, especially.
I mean, Karriem is a big get. He's kind of middle of the pack as far as the class goes, but the way this coaching staff is coaching, I'll take any 3-star and trust them to develop them into especially on defense, into a starter. The JUCO O lineman is great because I think from what those guys say, he has at least some college experience. I know it's JUCO, but the O-line depth is what Bielema loves, and so to continue to grow that is good. Don't know anything about Alex Bray, and then Elzy, the wide receiver, that could be huge.
Yeah,
that could be huge. The dude, from all the clips I've seen of him, is jacked, 6'3", I think. Like, he's a go up and get it type of player, which this team definitely needs. And if he decommits from Cincinnati, who's another top 25 program, and commits to Illinois, he's an in-state kid. It would be massive. And then the other guy is Jair Hill, who they're trying to get from Kankakee. If they can get both of them, that's a great class to build on. That's, I believe, 3 4-stars. If they get all of them, I believe, which is a good start. But I know Elzy was wearing Illini gloves just 2 weeks ago during his game. So the 2 days before he decommitted from Cincinnati. So good momentum going with the program on and off the field right now, which is long time coming.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. All right, so we're going into week 9. Illinois will go to Nebraska this week. The Cornhuskers are 3-4 on the year, 2-2 under an interim coach at this point. They've kind of had an up and down year. Illinois is obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously. Illinois is the favorite, even on the road. They've kind of proven to be the top team in the division. So at this point, they're going to probably be the favorite in every game they play at this point, other than Michigan.
Yep.
Until they get to Indianapolis. So Illinois is favored at Nebraska this week. That is a ABC game, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central Time, here on some national television broadcasts, getting off a Big Ten network, and actually going to get some eyeballs on this team. That's what happens when you win. Again, like recruiting, you get put on ABC. So. Yeah, we'll
opened at 5.5. It's 7 now.
Yeah, it is up to 7. So hey, if Illinois keeps playing like they are, they shouldn't have any concerns with Nebraska, but you never know. That Nebraska team there's something. I mean, there's certainly not nothing there. They've, as I said, they do have 3 wins on the season. Who have they beat this year in the Big Ten?
Indiana and Rutgers. Is that right?
They have wins over Indiana and Rutgers. Yeah. They lost to Northwestern to start the year. They beat North Dakota. They lost to Georgia Southern, and they lost to Oklahoma, and then wins over Indiana, Rutgers, and then lost to Purdue. So not exactly the greatest resume on their schedule, but I'm definitely not counting them out. I'm still not uber confident in Illinois right now, although yes, they should be favored to win, and they should win these next couple games at least. So that is 3:30 Eastern time, 2:30 Central time in Lincoln on Saturday. The Illini and Nebraska. Craig and I will make our picks with that as we get a little later in the game. Any keys before we go into it? I know we talked about the Josh McCray thing. Getting him back will obviously help take some of the workload off of Chase Brown. But what do you see going into this?
Just continue doing what you're doing. I mean, control the game.
Folks,
make mistakes.
is analysis.
It's true though. Like at what point in the last 3 weeks in this stretch when I thought they would go 1-2, that they ended up going 3-0? At what stretch were you worried that they were going to lose a game? Hasn't been many.
No.
So get out early, take care of business so you can control the thing and do what you need to. This is a game you should win. So I think they know that, but don't overlook Nebraska as well, because they got Casey Thompson is not a bad quarterback. Like, they have pieces, and Nebraska always has pieces. So just take care of business. We talked about this last week, and I mentioned it last week. Guess who's busy during the game and won't be able to watch?
I'm going to guess Craig. Craig is busy during the game.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm busy, but I am going back home for our every year Pinckneyville celebrates Mardi Gras in October, not February, because that's when Mardi Gras really should be. So it's the 100th year of it. So I'm going back this weekend. So I'm going to be hanging out with people, but we'll see how much I watch.
That's wonderful. We'll be in the same state again. I will probably plan to watch most of the game, though. All right, so going over scores from the Big Ten last week. Ohio State throttled Iowa 54-10. Penn State big over Minnesota 45-17. Rutgers in a win against Indiana 24-17. The surprise of the day, I would say, will be Wisconsin over Purdue 35-24. Craig seems to have won some money on the Badgers.
I did.
The way you're celebrating.
I did.
I'm really happy for you.
I'm 8 games above 500 on my betting line this college football season.
That's wonderful. I'm really happy for you. Is it accumulating to a lot of extra cash in your pocketbook, or is it all just
No, I bet $5.
Right. And then the last one.
Did. I am up more than that though, because week 1 I hit a 10-team parlay. Money line parlay that really, really boosted my net income way up.
What, $15?
No.
Oh,
it was good odds.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Happy for you. And then Maryland over Northwestern was the last game last week. This coming week, Ohio State goes to Penn State. That's the big one, noon Eastern time on Fox. Ohio State at Penn State. Rutgers go to Minnesota. We talked about Illinois at Nebraska. Northwestern at Iowa. Michigan State visits Michigan. And then Indiana, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Maryland are all off. Did you have something else to add, Craig?
I was just going to say I won the Wisconsin, but I lost the Maryland. I didn't realize that they were on their backup quarterback. It's bad research on my part.
You can't win them all. All right, let's do power rankings. I texted Craig yesterday because I was looking over this, and it's a mess. I don't even have it done. Like I don't know. I know what my 1 through 5 is, and I know what my 11 through 14 is, but 6 through 10, I honest to God have no clue where to put people. So I'm just gonna wing this because I don't know. I legitimately do not know where to put these teams. So we'll see what he does. Let's start with your 14 through 11.
Bottom 3 don't move. Northwestern, Indiana, Rutgers, 14, 13, 12 in that order. 11, I jokingly threw this team in there early in the season, but they're back. Iowa at 11. They are garbage trash. Terrible. So they're at 11, down 3 spots.
Yeah, that's fair. My bottom 4 is Northwestern, Indiana, Rutgers, and Nebraska. Maybe you can certainly make an argument for Iowa in that 11 spot, but I have Nebraska there despite them not playing. If they pull off a win against the Illini, obviously they'll move themselves up. But yeah, Northwestern, Indiana, Rutgers, Nebraska is my 14 through 11.
Did you watch any of the Iowa Ohio State game?
I did not. When was that game? Was that the early game?
It was
I
noon.
was not watching that game, no.
The first play of the game, Spencer Petras,
literally
throws it right to the Ohio State defensive back. Like, there's no way you can't see that person. And he threw it to him, interception. Now the Iowa defense played well in the first half for the most part. They were holding Ohio State out of the end zone. They were forcing field goals. but their offense is one of the worst offenses I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever. And I've seen a lot of Illinois offenses.
Yeah, they're not good. And I had them pretty low, and I have them at 10. But we'll get to that. Give me your 10 through 7.
So Nebraska is at 10, up one spot to 10. Michigan State stays at 9. Did not play last week, so they stay at 9. Wisconsin is up 2 spots to number 8 after their win over Purdue. And what did you say? To 7?
Sure.
7, Minnesota stays at 7. So Nebraska 10, 9 is Michigan State, 8 is Wisconsin, and 7 is Minnesota.
That's great.
Still working on it?
I have no idea. Mine is still blank. Mine is legitimately still blank. I don't know where to put these 4 teams. Because
all tied
they
for
either
6.
all beat each other in the last like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what to do here. All right, fine. I'm going to have Michigan State at 9, which is
where I
had them it's where I had them last week. I'll leave them there. I hate it because they just beat Michigan, or they just beat Wisconsin 2 weeks ago. And I hate jumping Wisconsin above them for that reason, but I guess I have to. So I will put Lordy. God, I don't know. This is so dumb. Why do I put myself through this for no reason at all? Okay. I'm gonna put.
So who are you deciding between? You've got Iowa at 10,
Purdue,
Michigan State at 9.
I'm deciding between Purdue, Minnesota,
and Wisconsin. Okay.
My top, my 1 through 5 is locked. Like I'm good there.
Right. So Wisconsin just beat Purdue.
Correct.
Purdue just beat Minnesota.
Yeah.
Have Wisconsin and Minnesota played?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. So if you're going by that logic.
All right, fine. I'll put Minnesota at 8.
Yeah.
I'll put Purdue at 7. And I'll put Wisconsin way up to freaking 6, which is unreal.
That's up what, 4 spots?
I don't even know. I had Wisconsin at 10 last week. See, that's the problem. I don't know that whatever. That's what it is. Okay. My 10 through 7 is now Iowa, Michigan State, Minnesota, Purdue. Give me your 6 through 1.
Yeah. Purdue is at 6. I know they just lost, but they are 5-3 in second place in the West, 3-2. So I'm keeping them at 6 for now. That loss really dampens. I mean, I like that they lost because it's easier path for Illinois, but I had that game circled for game day, and I don't know that that's going to happen now. That Illinois Purdue matchup. So they're at 6. Maryland is at 5. They barely beat Northwestern, but they did beat them with a backup quarterback. So they're at 5, up 1 spot. And then 4 through 1 is the same. Illinois, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah. I have Wisconsin at 6, as I just talked about. Maryland at 5, Illinois 4, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. Yeah. Same thing. I stressed over that so hard yesterday, and I stressed over it so hard today, and it's dumb. It is. It's just dumb. I just don't need to stress about it.
The Big Ten West, man, it's a gauntlet.
That's what I was going to say about Nebraska. I think at one point I was going to make that comment because something about you never know what you're going to get in the Big Ten West. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
Especially on the road.
Lastly, from the Big Ten, before we
put this in there just for you.
Yeah, I know.
Realignment guy.
Before we do move on, they did announce, the Athletic did have a report earlier today that the Big Ten will be keeping divisions for 2023, and then they will be reconfiguring everything when UCLA and USC join in 2024, which I don't know, man, looks to me like it's back-to-back Big Ten West championships for the Illini. I don't want to speak too soon, but that's what I read. I don't know about you. But that's what I
mean, yeah, definitely easier for Illinois, but The question is, what happens when the two powers join?
Yeah, I don't.
So what
I don't
do you
know.
do if you're?
I don't.
I almost said Jim Delaney. If you're Kevin Warren, what do you do, Logan Lee?
If it's just, or if we're just talking about when those two come, I would have no divisions. But when they inevitably add more schools from the Pac-12, then I think you go back to divisions somehow, some way.
So what they're going to be at 16? Are they going 18 or 20?
I think they'll eventually go to 20. That's my guess.
So do you do two
I don't think that's happening
team
like 2024.
divisions?
I would think you do, but again, I don't know how that works out. I mean, you're not going to play everybody.
If you're geographical with 2 10 teams, you got the
How many
6 West.
How many conference games you get?
9.
So if 10 and 10, then you would theoretically play everybody, but you would
not do a crossover.
There would be no crossover, which I don't think I like that. So no, I guess you probably just don't have divisions then either. You just set up, or they do the quads.
I was going to say, I think split it up.
If they go to 20, I think they go to quads. I think is
and if that's the case, you add 3 more out west, so you can have a West quad, and then you find someone else in the Midwest, because you can't have 6 Western teams with 20 team conference and have 5 quads, because one of the Western teams is going to be in a quad with everyone else in the Midwest.
20 teams would be 4 quads of 5.
Right. So you can only have 5.
So yeah,
west,
you'd add 3 out there, and you'd add 1 from somewhere else. I don't know who that is, but
I would assume Notre Dame or Kansas.
I mean, I know they're still trying for Notre Dame. Obviously, they want Notre Dame, which I think is certainly still on the table, especially if they're going to bring in Stanford, Oregon,
Cal, Oregon,
whatever, Washington, whatever combination of those teams. I think if
I would love to add both of them.
Yeah, they're not going to get out all of them. But yeah, I think inevitably that might be the solution. But I think if we're just talking UCLA and USC, which we will be for at least 2024, I think we just go no divisions, which makes the most sense for that year at least. So they'll do the whole natural rivalry pairing, and they'll have that, whatever that means. Whoever UCLA and USC are nationally paired with, other than themselves, who knows? But I mean, they won't give us USC and Ohio State as a natural pairing, which is the only thing anybody would actually want. But yeah, so that was that. All right, let's do some.
You want to do what you did last year?
We can. I forgot about it. Yeah,
I forgot that you did that last year. So
I've still been doing it. Yeah, the college football.
Yeah, you sent me a screenshot.
Yeah, I've been doing it. I've been doing it since the beginning. I wasn't going to bring it up on the show for a few weeks, but now I guess we're to that point. So this makes sense. So yeah, last year I started doing this.
Come out in a week.
I know. So last year I started doing this, basically just putting together the teams that are still essentially in the hunt to get in the playoff. Now this is all useless because we all know that there's about 7 teams that are actually in the mix for this, but mathematically you have to kind of look at it this way. The thing that you showed me on the other day has far less teams in it than I do. I still include a few more teams because mathematically I think you can make an argument that some of them might still have a shot to make it to the final, to the playoff.
The way I look at it is if team X wins out, will they be in?
Well, that's my thing here. These teams that have 2 losses, like LSU, and let's just throw out LSU. I don't. That's the thing. Haven't gone through everybody's schedule and know who they play the rest of the year. But like LSU currently sits at 6-2. If they win out, well, they probably wouldn't even get to the title game at that point. So that's probably stupid. Either way, I have broken it up into those tiers. So it's basically the teams that don't have any losses, the teams that have 1 loss, and then there's still those teams that have 2 losses that I don't think can actually get in at this point mathematically, but I leave them in there. So yeah, at this point there's 6 still teams that are unbeaten: Clemson, TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee. And then there's 11 teams still with 1 loss. That are obviously still in the mix there. There's, as I said, there's about 9 teams with 2 losses that aren't probably still in this thing, but I still have them included. But Illinois is still in this mix. I think that's the thing that really matters.
On here.
That's the thing that really matters here. Illinois is 6-1. and are still very much in the hunt here. They are realistically one of about 17 teams still that could make the college football playoff. Now they'd obviously have to beat Michigan. They'd have to
You
beat
just repeat
Ohio
that for a
State.
second.
It is October 24th, and Illinois is one of 17 teams in the country. Illinois football is one of 17 teams in the country that mathematically still has a chance to make the college football playoff.
What a world.
What a world we live in. Yeah, so we'll just have to see. ACC
Who are
has
the two lost teams that are still on there?
well, that's the thing. It's any Power 5 school that has 2 losses. That's all I'm sorting this by. I'm not looking at their schedule, figuring out who plays who. They don't really matter. The 2 lost teams I think are all mathematically done too, but I just haven't totally wiped them off my list. I wiped them off my list this early in the season after they get to 3 wins. Once everything sorts itself out, then those teams won't even be in the mix. So basically every 2-loss team is still technically on my thing, but the one that you sent me is more accurate. It's the 1-loss teams. I don't know how often a 2-loss team has made the playoff.
I don't think ever.
But yeah, you'd have to just kind of see how the schedule plays out and everything, but I don't think it would happen. So yeah, the ACC has 4 teams still in the mix here. The Big 12 has 2. The Big 10 has 4. Pac-12 has 3, SEC has 4. But as we all know, there's really about 7 teams here that really have a true legitimate shot at making the playoff.
So what I sent you is from Saturday Game Day on Twitter.
Yeah.
This was prior to last week's games.
Right.
Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Illinois, Kansas State, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, Oregon, Penn State, Syracuse, TCU, Tennessee, UCLA, USC, Wake Forest. Kansas State lost, so they're probably out, according to this. I think that might be it, though.
The 2 lost teams...
UCLA lost, but they're still in it.
Yep. The 2 lost teams are NC State, Kansas State, Maryland, Utah, Washington, Oregon State, Kentucky, LSU, South Carolina. Realistically, I don't think any of them have a shot. Mathematically, maybe 1 or 2 of them could, but probably not. And then the 1-loss team, Syracuse, North Carolina, Wake Forest, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Illinois, UCLA, USC, Oregon, Ole Miss, Alabama. And then your 7 undefeateds. So Illinois, still one of 17 teams in the country. They lose one more time, they're out of that mix, most likely. But
that might not be until November.
It could also be Saturday. So let's not get ahead of ourselves.
All right, let's go picks.
Yeah, let's do picks. All right, game for picking this week: Ohio State at Penn State, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Illinois, Nebraska, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Cincinnati, UCF, Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Baylor, Texas Tech, and Pittsburgh, North Carolina. This past week, we both went 3-2, bringing Craig's overall record to 25-16 and mine to 23-18. I'm picking first now. Is that how we're doing this?
Yep.
We got reversed a couple weeks ago. So I will pick first. I did not do all the necessary homework for this, but I'm going to take probably the safest bet would be Ohio State over Penn State. Penn State is decent. They're rightfully the 3rd best team in the Big Ten. Until proven otherwise. They did beat Minnesota, but they did lose to Michigan a couple weeks ago. And I think they'll lose this game too. Ohio State is favored by 16.5 points last I checked. So I think that's
15.
Okay. Well, that's the safest bet. I'm going to take Ohio State as my first pick.
I had that at number 2. I think there's a more safe one. Tennessee at home.
That was the home thing. Yeah, that probably was a factor too. I should have considered that. Yeah, that's the other safe bet. Tennessee's good. Tennessee's really good. I wasn't sure if they would be as good as advertised, but they're playing really well. And not to take anything away from Kentucky, but Kentucky is not Tennessee this year. And yeah, that game being in Knoxville, yeah, that's the safe pick. All right, so 2 off the board. Now it gets a little more dicey. Those were the 2 rather obvious picks.
Yeah.
You realize what the next highest spread here is?
Yeah. Yeah. Illinois is the next highest spread.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm not super confident in any of these games. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take the Illini.
Okay.
I think that that's the biggest differential between teams. I know it's in Lincoln, and I know Illinois is very much at risk of losing that game. It would not shock me in the least bit, but I think that they have shown that they have a damn good running back and a really good defense, and I think they can beat just about anybody that they come up against this year, other than a couple other Big Ten East opponents. So, I'm not guaranteeing this, but I will take it with my third overall pick. I'll take Illinois.
Okay.
Let's say you, Craig.
I'm switching my order up here. I had Illinois. I wasn't ready to pick them yet, but they're coming up right in the middle of the pack this week. But I'm switching my order. I had a different game that I was going to pick, but I trust North Carolina more at home, so I'm going to take North Carolina over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh lost to Louisville on Saturday. I watched that game, and Pittsburgh did not look good. They just did not look good. Louisville's not very good, and they lost by 2 touchdowns, or they beat Pittsburgh by 2 touchdowns. So I love North Carolina's offense. Their defense is the question mark, but give me Mac Brown.
Okay. Oh, goodness. All right. I'm going to take. I'll take South Carolina.
Damn.
I think that's safe.
That was the one I switched it from.
Missouri's terrible, and South Carolina is at least a decent football team, and they'll play at home. So I will take the Gamecocks for my third pick. Craig's up with his third.
All right. Oh man. All right. I'll take another home team that they were very impressive on Saturday. Watched it from the start. Probably very easily could have knocked Clemson off. I'm gonna take Dino. I'm gonna take Dino Babers and Syracuse
Dabo's on this list.
To beat Northwestern. No, to beat Notre Dame.
I'm glad you took that. I'm glad you took that. Because I was considering taking that and going the other way with it. But you made the right pick there, I think. All right, I have the next pick, and where do I want to go from here? Craig, do you have HBO Max?
I do.
Have you noticed that the Discovery HBO Warner merger has started, and they're starting to drop some stuff from Discovery Plus?
Oh, Chip and Joe?
Fixer Upper The Castle is on HBO Max now. Wonderful program. I wish they were longer episodes, but Chip and Joe are redoing a castle in Waco, Texas.
Okay.
Great television. You should check it out. Love Chip and Joe. I'm going to take the Baylor Bears. Okay. They're on the road. Texas Tech is favored by a couple points, 2.5. But I don't know. This week, I'm riding with Chip and Joe. I'm back on the Fixer Upper train, baby. Let's go.
Baylor was my pick there, but it was ranking the games. It was the last one. I did not want anything to do with that game. So
that's fine. I'll take it.
There we go. Okay.
I ride with Chip Gaines.
I know you do. Man, I'm going out of order here again. Every week I rank the games. I'm rethinking here. I'm taking another home team. Coming off a loss, I believe. But this place is a tough place to play. Orlando's tough place, the bounce house. I'm taking an upset UCF to beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's a good one. UCF is a tough place. That's I don't know what it is about that place, but teams tend to struggle there. Cincinnati's favored by only a point.
Yeah.
So that's
good.
UCF
that's offense good. Is fun. They played Louisville. Louisville beat them in Orlando earlier in the season. And UCF's offense is a blast to watch.
All right. I don't know where to go here. I'll be quite honest with you.
These last two are really tough.
I have one I want to pick.
Oklahoma State at Kansas State, Ole Miss at Texas A&M.
I have one I want to go with.
Do it,
And
because I think I was gonna
I
go
was
too.
confident in this team for a while, but after this past weekend, um,
I
I
think
can
we're
actually
thinking
say
the
that
exact
about
same
both
thing.
of these teams, really, both of these games. I believe the word I saw on Twitter from Brandon Walker was fraud. I'll take Ole Miss. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I'll take Ole Miss. I think they got their ass handed to them against LSU,
They
but
did.
I think they're better than that, and they're better than A&M. I don't think they'll fall 2 weeks in a row, so I will take Ole Miss on the road against Texas A&M.
Okay.
You thought I was going to go with
Okay.
the other one?
No, I thought you were gonna take Texas A&M.
Oh no,
That's what I had marked. I was gonna do it.
Ole Miss
Buying into the Brandon Walker theory
fraud.
here. Frauds.
They might be a fraud, but
The most fraudulent team that ever frauded. I think that's how he says it or something. Okay, this last one, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. I really like Kansas State. I think Adrian Martinez is a great college quarterback now that he's out of Nebraska, but he got hurt, and I don't know if he's playing. Can we put a hold and see
No.
if
we do this once a week, Craig?
We have to pick it on Monday. Okay. I have Oklahoma State as the underdog here, so I'll take the road underdog. I'll take Oklahoma State, higher ranked team. It's on the road, but I'll take the Pokes.
I took Minnesota against Illinois a couple weeks ago, not knowing that Tommy DeVito was going to play. Had I known Tommy DeVito was going to play in that game, I would not have picked Minnesota.
True.
I can confidently say that. So,
True.
all right, Craig takes Oklahoma State. That means he's going to ride with Syracuse, Oklahoma State, UCF, Tennessee, and North Carolina. I'm taking Ohio State, Illinois, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Baylor. Those are our picks for week 9. We'll see how we do at the end of the week. Maybe our producer will put up a graphic. Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll get fired. We'll just have to see what happens.
He got a nice tongue lashing from me the other day.
I'm sure he did, whatever that means. Let's talk Illini hoops, because as Craig alluded to a little while ago, the first and I guess only exhibition game of the season is a mere 3 days away. Is it Friday?
Friday.
This is
Friday night.
Quincy? Is that who they're playing? Quincy?
Quincy, yes. It is BTN Plus stream only.
Yeah.
But the good news, there is one other stream only game. And it's November 24th. And I believe you get the stream for a month. I believe. So you should only have to pay for 1 month.
Have you done the math on that?
No. Unless it's like you subscribe and pay the $10 for October, and then you have to pay again for November. But I don't know. They are less.
Well, that's great. I will be in the land of no cell reception Friday night, so I probably won't be watching. But who knows? If I end up somewhere else, maybe I'll find a way to get it. I'll just steal your login. But yeah, the Illini kick off their exhibition season on Friday night against Quincy. We won't really do much to preview that game necessarily, but they did have some notes come out of their secret scrimmage, quote unquote, with Kansas in St. Louis this past weekend. The Illini and the Jayhawks met up in St. Louis for a closed door scrimmage. No stats or anything was reported from that. Just some notes that Illini Athletics gave out to some people. I don't think there's anything really we need to talk about. There is one thing we will talk about coming out of that, but just for the scrimmage as a whole, I think it's a great idea. Love that they're doing it. It's nice. I know that, Brad and Bill have a good relationship, and it was nice, love to get Kansas on the schedule as a real game at some point down the road, which,
when they join the Big Ten, it will be.
Maybe. Now that they're a football school, maybe they will. We'll talk about the big thing out of there, but anything else secret scrimmage related you wanted to touch on?
Why do they have to call them secret scrimmages? They post the video after, and everyone knows. And Jeff Goodman's tweeting that Sky Clark looked good. Terrence Shannon was the best player on the Why do they have to be secret? I don't get it. Whatever.
Should just be closed door.
Yeah,
closed door scrimmage.
Or they played a scrimmage against one another. Who cares? But what I thought was funny is yesterday afternoon, Kansas basketball tweeted out like a 1.5-minute clip, and they looked great. I saw 8 Illinois turnovers, and Kansas dunking on Illinois
Of course.
guys. And then 4 hours later, Illinois tweets out and Luke Goode's hitting threes and Sky Clark's dribbling around guys. It's like, all right. I mean, it's typical highlight stuff, but
Yeah.
I watched the Kansas one. I was like, oh my God, Illinois looks so bad. Like 6 turnovers, most of them on post feeds. Like, what the heck? And then Illinois tweets out and Terrence Shannon's throwing down one-handed dunks. And I'm like, okay, we're good.
Yeah. That's what you're going to get. All right. But yes, the big news that did come out from the secret scrimmage that just got reported today. The rather unfortunate news is that Luke Goode suffered a broken foot during this game on Saturday.
Jeff Goodman.
According to Jeff Goodman. And then Luke did tweet it out, like quote tweet it and basically confirm it. So
yeah,
Luke Goode broke his foot. It's not a season-ending injury, but he will have surgery this Friday and he is out indefinitely. Luke Goode was not anticipated to be, necessarily a starter or maybe even the first guy off the bench, but he was absolutely a very important role player here. Whatever role he was going to have, a shooter, probably, maybe even getting some starters minutes at times, some experience, was going to have his sophomore season. This is a Illini team that doesn't have a lot of depth, especially in the front court. I'm glad they went out and got the guys they did, because you now don't have Zachary Perrine, who has had to go to prep school because of academic reasons. Not that he was going to play a ton, but your depth numbers are dwindling here quickly. So that's a big loss for Illinois to start the season. Was really hoping for a nice sophomore breakout from him. We could still get it. It sounds like he will play at some point, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be any time before Christmas. So
no,
I
think
know a timetable. I'm going to guess it'll be in 2023 when we actually see him hit the floor again.
Yeah. What is it? End of October. Yeah. I would say mid to late January. Because what I saw, and I do this with any injury, is just kind of look up other injuries like this, like who else has broken a foot, and it's like 6 to 8 weeks to fully recover. So I'm going like 10 weeks just to be safe. So mid-January, late January, probably. Not season ending, which is great. I don't know that we necessarily we know what we're getting with Luke Goode.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. He's had a season. He's not a freshman that we need to fit into the mold here, although this is a brand new team, so it would be nice. But it just means more time for maybe like a Sincere Harris, who I don't think was going to get a ton of minutes. He's probably going to get a lot more now. It's a knock on the depth a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you were already looking at a team that only has 11 scholarship players.
Yep.
After the whole Perrine situation, and will now be down to 10 before the season even starts. So,
yep.
I mean, obviously, you know what you're kind of getting from some of these guys, but you mentioned a name, Sincere Harris, is a guy that will probably end up having to get, a good chunk more minutes now. I mean, we already played on Meyer and Shannon and Coleman getting their minutes, and RJ and Sky and Jaden Epps and Ty Rogers, Dane Danger. I mean, there's plenty of guys there, don't get me wrong, but to start off your season like this, and there's some big contests early. This isn't a cupcake schedule to start the season. I mean,
Vegas is going to be tough.
There's a few warm-ups, but right off the bat, they go to Vegas and they're going to play UCLA, and they're going to get, I don't remember who was all out there. Baylor is out there.
Could get Baylor or Virginia.
Yep. And then
Illinois is the lowest ranked team of those 4.
Yeah. So there's some.
And they have Texas in New York City.
Right.
Who's ranked in the top 5?
ACC Challenge. Let's take a look at the schedule here. So so they start with Eastern Illinois, Kansas City, and Monmouth. And then there's the UCLA game, Baylor or Virginia, Syracuse,
4-2,
Texas. I mean, so there's some real challenges here. So
I mean, we need to accept it now. Illinois is going to drop out of the rankings and not get back in until like Christmas.
Probably.
Wouldn't start 4-3.
It wouldn't shock me. Basketball season is upon us. Craig and I haven't talked about it. I'm assuming we will start doing more post-game shows again like we did last year. I don't know that it'll be an every game thing. But we will plan to do more of those for basketball than we have done for football. Football's just, you would think Saturdays would be easier, but they're actually a little more complicated during the fall. So Craig and I have both been very open about we've been doing other things on Saturdays when the weather's nice and traveling and things. So it's a little easier actually on a basketball game for a Tuesday night to do a show because we're definitely most likely at home opposed to
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon. So
Yeah.
we will plan on doing more of those once basketball season gets here. Again, not every game. I will tell you right now, we are not going to do every game, but we will start on those soon. The one other basketball related thing that we
Forgot about this.
broke literally seconds after we stopped recording last week was that ZZ Clark, the younger brother of Sky Clark, who was committed to the Illini class of 2024, I believe, decommitted from Illinois. Dropped out of his commitment. Not really shocking to me. I don't think that ZZ was I think he was just he liked the idea of playing with his brother. But I think there's a few factors here. One, I don't think there's a guarantee that his brother would be here in 2024. And two, I think Brad loved to have him, but I think he was going to be recruiting around him. I don't think ZZ is not nearly the player his brother is. He might turn into be more, but at this point in his recruiting process, it doesn't seem like he is quite to the caliber of player that Brad's recruiting, especially from the guard position. They've already recruited a couple guards that are going to be ahead of him. So you have to think that even if he did show up here in 2024, you'd be looking at, potentially his older brother playing in that backcourt. With Jaden Epps still in that backcourt, Ty Rogers involved in that mix. And then they brought in Dre Gibbs Lawhorn recently we just talked about. So I don't know where exactly ZZ was going to fit into this. So I don't think it's a huge shock that he decommitted. So, best wish to him. I don't know where he'll end up. I don't know that it's going to be, who knows? He's still young. He's still got plenty of time to figure that out. But that did happen literally minutes after we stopped recording our show last week. So we wanted to touch on that.
Yep.
Anything else baseball related you want to talk about?
Basketball related?
Yeah, basketball related. Sorry.
I don't think so. Not that I can think up right now.
How about a recap from the NFL day yesterday? How's your fantasy team?
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot. I'm having the worst fantasy football season of my life. I touched on this before. I'm in 5 leagues this year. One of them I'm gonna move to 4-3. 2 of them I'm gonna be 4-3. But the other ones I'll be 2-5 in 2 of them. So I'm starting to sell. Like they're keeper league, so I'm starting to trade for better picks next year. It's bad. I've never been so checked out this early in fantasy football. And I don't know if it's because I'm stretched thin. Like I feel like I have a good grasp on all of my teams. But yeah, it's a terrible season.
Yeah, I'm in 2. My one league that's a lot deeper. It's 20 teams. I think it's 20 teams. Seems like a lot. 16 teams maybe. I'm doing pretty well in that. I did lose this week. I think I will lose this week in that, but I'm still at like 5-2 or something, whatever that would be. 2 losses. My other league, it's going awful. It is terrible. My running backs have been abysmal. I tweeted out today. I realized now that I made the biggest mistake of my life. The greatest move I made this season was drafting Kenneth Walker in the 16th round of my draft. And then I dropped him 2 weeks later because he wasn't anywhere on the depth chart and I had plenty of running backs. So I needed to fill the space with something else. And now he's ripping it up and he would be far and away the best running back on my team. And he just destroyed me this week. So that great win and then a terrible mismanagement on my part. So.
Nothing has gone right for me. No pickups have panned out. I did not draft well. The best team I have is probably my auction league on Sleeper, which I'll be 4-3 just because I made some stupid decisions on who I started this week. But it's not been a fun. But also there is some fun in a keeper league, kind of not really tanking, but trading for picks so you have a better picks next year and be a contender this next season. So yeah. Bad.
It's
Bears tonight though.
Bears play tonight.
To watch the Bears tonight.
The Bears are like 0-9 in their last 9 primetime games. So
New England -8.
not ready for primetime players is the name of the Chicago Bears. All right, Major League Baseball World Series starts Friday, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Phillies and Astros. I'm here for Kyle Schwarber. That is it. I almost wore my Kyle Schwarber jersey just for that. That's the only reason I'm here. I had nothing against the Phillies. I'm on board with the Phillies. Love Schwarber, love Castellanos, love Bryce Harper. I have no issues with them. I'm over the the Astros stuff. The Rockies. I don't know where that came from. I'm over the Astros stuff. Like, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, I don't really care. But I still I'm over there. I'm over them as a dominant force too. So whatever. Any predictions? I know you haven't really been watching the playoffs, but
I like this Phillies team. I really do. I mean, is there a better city in America right now than Philadelphia?
Nope.
Reckon Eagles are undefeated. Phillies in the World Series. 76ers were supposed to be good, but I think they lost their first 3 games. But I don't know. I want to pick the Phillies. I think it's going to be a great series. It's one of those like could be very similar to the Astros Mariners series, where it's a great series, but the Astros sweep. Like it could be a 4-1 Astros win, but all 5 games come down to the last couple innings. I don't know. I feel like there's something about this Phillies team, man. I really do.
I would love to see them do it. I think
who has home field?
Smart money's on the Astros.
It'd be Astros, right? Because they won more games.
I think so. Yeah,
the Astros. Yeah.
So, all right, smart money's on the Astros, but I'm also pulling for the Phillies, I guess, at this point. So, and
it was funny because Harper's home run last night, like Joe Davis's call, like swing of his life, and someone quoted it on Twitter, and I was like, "Get this man his ring," and I was like, "The Nationals won a World Series like 3 years ago. Like, he's got his ring." And they won it the year after the first year he was gone. I was like, oh my God. I thought he had won it with the Nationals. So
nope.
I've always been on I wouldn't say a Harper hater, but he's never really been my favorite. But I get that's kind of starting to go away. I really like most of who the Phillies have.
He's definitely not my favorite player, but I don't have anything against him. I love his hair, although I don't know that he has quite the same hair as he did. But
I don't know that there's a Phillies player that I'm like, I don't like that guy. I really don't. And I don't know that there are Astros either. I'm not a huge Altuve fan. I like Kyle Tucker. I love Yordan Alvarez. I really like Jeremy Pena. So it could be a good series. I think it's going to be a really good series. And there's a lot of likable people, but people still hate the Astros.
Do you have any Astros or Phillies fan friends that you wanted to bring on the show since our Padres are gone? And
one of my friends lives in Houston. Oh. He's not I wouldn't say he's a fan, but he lives in Houston.
Okay. Maybe.
No Phillies though, I don't think.
Corey Matthews. Phillies fan.
Yeah.
All right, NBA. I know that our producer put on here wanting to talk about tanking and relegation. Do you feel like
there's
a reason to talk about this? I mean, I briefly saw it, but I didn't really.
Apparently, Adam Silver was talking with people in the Suns organization, and tanking got brought up, and I think he said that relegation has been talked about.
How would they do? What would they do?
The 2 or 3 worst teams go to the G League, and the team that wins the G League comes up. He's like, it wouldn't be that simple. Like they would have to change their business model and all that stuff. But listen, this is probably my Premier League fandom for the last 3 years coming out. I am all for relegation in every sport. I love that aspect of if you have a team in 2024 that's in the 4th level of this sports and 4th level of NFL football, we'll just say there's NFL, there's Canadian, and there's the XFL or whatever. They're in the 4th level. They win that league. The next year they're in the XFL. 2026 they win the XFL. The next year they're in the Canadian Football League. Like in a matter of 5 years, you could go from, if you're run right, you could go from the basement league to the top. And it's the same opposite. If you're who's terrible? I don't know. If you're the Oklahoma City Thunder, I love relegation. I'll put it that way.
I'm not a Premier League guy. I don't totally follow all of it. I don't know exactly how all of it works. I understand relegation, and I understand what it means. My question is, are we really going from, let's just say you're the Golden State Warriors, which I know they're not on the verge of being relegated, but let's just say hypothetically, the Golden State Warriors, who just built this billions of dollars brand new arena in San Francisco, play their home games there, and if they're relegated, they're traveling to the Fort Wayne Memorial Coliseum that seats 7,000 people. Like, is that really how this would work?
That's what I would assume that's what they do in the Premier League. Like, there's a slim chance that Everton gets relegated this year. Everton's one of the like their version of the original six. Like, they're one of the pillars of European soccer. They could get relegated where they're playing teams that have a capacity of 8,000 in their stadium.
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
I love it. I want relegation in more American sports. I'm all for it.
All right. Well, that's great. I love the idea of it. I just, we'll just have to see how that happens. All right, we're going to move on. The sad news from the day from the world of movies and TV was the passing of Leslie Jordan, who is a fairly well-known TV actor, comedian, just a funny guy. Very
funny guy.
Been on a whole host of television shows. His Wikipedia, his IMDb page is miles long. Just TV shows he's been on. Just a funny guy. Short little man. That's about the best I can describe him. Will and Grace. Will and Grace is probably his most famous role, but he's been on a lot of other shows. So that came out today. He was 67. So really sad. You big Leslie Jordan fan?
I just remember him from, and I'm gonna have to put the expletive on here. He blew up on social media after the pandemic because he would just be sitting at his house, and he always started, or it kind of became his thing. He was like, "Well, shit, what are y'all doing?" And the first time I saw it with his accent, and my impression was not good, so go look him up, because the first time I saw that with his accent, I lost it. I thought it was the funniest thing, and ever since then, he's kind of blew up. He went viral for that, and he's just been a mainstay on Instagram and TikTok and all that. And he was on that new show with Maya Bialik on Fox, and he's guest hosted judge on The Masked Singer multiple seasons. So I did not know him prior to that. I did not know him from Will and Grace. Like, he was one of those people that, like, you say the name, you're like, who? But then when you saw him, you're like, oh, yeah, I know who that is. So, yeah, really sad. Just one of the funniest dudes since in the last couple of years. Yeah. It was really sad to see that.
Yep. Anything else? Movies, TV, you need to...
I'm on a roll on The Masked Singer.
Yeah?
I've got one person right the last 3 episodes. So props to me. There's been
who was it?
Do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to spoil it?
I mean, you can tell me. I don't know about the listeners.
Spoiler alert for all you Masked Singer fans. I write them down. I make sure and write my guesses down every episode. I got the Jeff Dunham was on there. He was very obvious. Got him in 10 seconds. And then I got the Brady Bunch brothers were on there.
Together?
The 3 actors were on there.
Did they sing Sunshine Day? Right. I think I'll go for a walk outside. Nope.
I think not for their competition, but like they always sing after they take the masks off. Yeah. I think that's what they sang, actually.
Probably.
And then this last week, I got Gloria Gaynor. Me and Christy kind of put the pieces together and tag teamed that one. We came up with Gloria Gaynor. So yeah,
I know who that is. Who's Gloria Gaynor? Oh, I know. Okay, I got you. I got you. I didn't know the name at first. Okay, I'm on the page now. I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good.
I'm on a roll. I feel pretty good about the guesses this year.
All right. Happy for you.
My other thing. I started The Watcher.
Oh,
have you watched The Watcher?
I have not. No.
It's got my interest. It's
Okay.
very I don't know what the word I have the word, but I can't relay it. It's very I want to say psychedelic, but it's not psychedelic. It's a
Trippy.
thriller. It's no, it's like a thriller. I don't know. It's not like you don't get scared, but it's
Yeah.
very
I mean, I know what it is, but I
Yeah.
haven't been watching it.
yeah. It's based on a true story too.
Yeah. That's
Which is
another
kinda
Ryan
creepy.
Murphy thing, right? He's
It
got
is.
he's having a
Yeah.
time. He's having a year.
Yeah.
That's great. Pretty excited for the White Lotus to come back. That comes back here soon.
That's
I saw both the big releases for the weekend. Black Adam and Ticket to Paradise, the
I
new
don't know what that one is.
Julia Roberts
Oh,
and
yeah.
George Clooney rom-com.
Yeah.
Both movies qualify in the fun time at the movies, but not very great movies. That's how
About right expected for Black Adam.
both of them are. So that's all.
Did you go
say
see
about that.
did you see Bros?
I did go see Bros.
We
Loved
never
it.
talked about the whole controversy with Billy Eichner.
Which part?
The whole he said no one went to see it after it made like $4 million because people aren't accepting of.
I don't think that that's necessarily why people went. I mean, that could be, and I don't know that he's totally inaccurate. I haven't looked at the numbers from Ticket to Paradise yet. Let's just look at the box office numbers. Now that you brought this up, because this is a good comparison because they're both rom-coms.
We haven't had a good rom-com in a long time, I feel like.
No, and we've had two of decent ones. I mean, Bros is a far better movie than Ticket to Paradise is.
I thought it looked good. I thought the previews looked pretty good.
Billy can say what he wants, and I think there might be some truth to that, but he's not a
There's not star power in it. Yeah.
He's not a movie
I think
star.
that was
I love
the main
Billy
issue.
Eichner. I think he's hilarious. I think the movie was great. More people should see it. But he's not a movie star. He's not Julia Roberts and George Clooney. He might have the better movie. But he's not George Clooney or Julia Roberts or Caitlin Dever. I mean, they had three bigger actors in that movie than
I don't know who that is.
He is. So she's a younger up and coming actress. She's been in she was in Booksmart, she was in Dear Evan Hansen, she was in something else she was big in. I don't know, whatever. But that, I mean, I think that's the bigger reason. That's not to say, as I said, it's the better movie. I'm fully confident in saying it's the much better movie, but it doesn't have the star power. So my guess, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'm going to guess that Ticket to Paradise will do better box office wise than Bros did. Bros.
Only reason I knew Bros was from Big Brother. They did the screening on Big Brother.
Yeah. I don't think the marketing for it was good.
No.
I don't think it was a very good marketing performance. So Bros, I could honestly see it getting, a nomination for like an actor or a writing type thing. I mean, I could see it being like that type of movie. But it doesn't have star power. So if you're going to get people to come out to a rom-com, you got to have star power. That's just what it is. So, but yeah, that was that. But Bros is really good. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year, and it's one of the best rom-coms we've had in a long time. Yes.
Jim Nantz reportedly stepping away from NCAA tournament after 2023.
That's not shocking. I think it's probably time. I think I've mentioned that at one point that I feel like he's lost his step.
We just talked about that last week with Bob Costas.
Right. Let's see. I feel like at some point I tweeted about this, but I can't find anything. That's not shocking, I don't think. Who do you think takes over for that? And who's the number 2? Ian Eagle?
Ian Eagle is the first name that popped in my head. I don't know the other. Is Jim Spinarkle? Is that a name? Is that an old name?
Yeah, he might. No, he's a color, I think. Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's shut this thing down. Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
With Ian Eagle as successor. That's right there in the headline there.
Is it?
From the New York Post.
Okay.
Jim Nantz calls final, from Andrew Marchand. Tournament with Ian Eagle as successor, which makes sense. He's been the number 2 for a while. So, all right, let's shut it down. This has been No one asked us. Go Blues. He's Craig. I'm Logan. Episode 76. Like, share, subscribe, tweet at us, like us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, shoot us an email, whatever the case may be. Illini Saturday at Nebraska, hoping for an Illini win and to keep moving up in the national rankings. I don't think we even talked about it. They're 17th in the AP ranking this week. They moved up a spot despite not playing in week 8. For Craig, I'm Logan. This is No One Asked Us. We'll see you next week. Bye.